A thought experiment, because every morning I have no internet now, because this transformer, that's our 5G tower behind it, got struck last Thursday, and during daylight hours our internet service provider's taken a generator up there to drive it, so I have to wait for them to arrive. Let's go from Exeter to Swansea, 58 nautical miles, 35 minutes, and that's 2 hours 48 by road. So obviously that's a much quicker trip, and this isn't for interest one for me because my eldest son's studying at Swansea, so why not? Let's go and see him there. You will see in this flight, love little nav map. If you do anything with X-Plane, then you have to have a little nav map. It's a no-brainer. So you'll see in this that the autopilot really is awful as ever, but I'll leave it in. I'll let it fly across. You'll see what happens. But at the end of this, we'll join in again with a little more commentary at the end of this. So I did this flight, and when the internet came back on, and I thought, oh, I'll do another flight. Lo and behold, there was an update. So I had an update yesterday to explain an update this morning, and well, you can have a look later. Anyway, here comes North Devon, and an awful lot of rolling with this autopilot and the lifting blades interfering with each other. So you'll see I waffle along trying to find Adams University. I think I find it in the end. I ended up going to the wrong place. And while I was doing this 35-minute flight, whatever it was, I realised, of course, I could just buy an R66 and move the same number of people this distance, the similar sort of speed, and I could do that right now if I had enough money. But of course, you need a license to do that. You'd have to go through traditional training, and it occurred to me that one thing not being spoken about is these sort of aircraft may lead to a license-free urban air mobility driving situation, and by that I mean you could turn the dials on the autopilot and go sightseeing and make yourself turn around a landmark much like you would with your DJI drone now, but the difference is you're sat in it, and there'd be absolutely no requirement at all for traditional aviation training, especially if you're part of a bigger picture thing like the Altitude Angel Arrow corridors or some sort of UTM system that kept you out of the way of other stuff. Why on earth would you need a pilot's license if you had enough money? And because these are going to be very, very wealthy people's toys when they do come into existence, then they're probably the sort of people that are going to have the money to make that happen. But it would be a very, very nice class of push button. Either push button go and don't bother touching anything because you're a businessman and you're going there, or wander about a bit. I do a lot of wandering about. But yeah, well within the range of the Alia this trip, so saving, best part of 3 hours of driving for 35 odd minutes of flying. It's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? Anyway, what I also need to say is notice in the second video clip, whilst I was coming back to have this thought, there was another update, and lo and behold, the autopilot works a lot better in the Alia now. You'll see there's a bit of pitching now if you whack up full throttle in the lifter motors. But somebody must have watched my video yesterday, and they've worked on it, I'd like to think. Anyway, join us 2100 GMT every Tuesday for our chat of nonsense wherever you are in the world. Look after yourselves. Cheers for now.